Hey everyone, have you ever really thought about the journey a single bit of data takes to get to your screen? I mean, it's pretty incredible. Today, we're going to follow that journey. And trust me, it's a real hero's quest, filled with all sorts of dangers and even cosmic speed limits that basically define our entire digital world. So let's dive in and see what our little hero is up against. It really all kicks off with a question that, let's be honest, has probably frustrated all of us at some point. Why isn't the internet just instant? Why can't we have infinite speed? Well, the answer has nothing to do with your internet plan or how new your router is. The real speed limit, it's actually baked into the laws of physics. So here's our roadmap. First, we'll follow our signal on its dangerous journey. Then we'll meet the three big villains trying to stop it, which we call impairments. After that, we'll figure out the speed limit in a perfect world and then crash back to reality with the real world limit before finally we figure out how to find the one true maximum speed. All right, so picture our hero, a single perfect signal. Its whole mission, its purpose in life, is to travel from a sender to a receiver, all while carrying a super important piece of information. The problem? The path it has to travel is anything but safe. You see, the biggest danger on this whole quest has a name: transmission impairment. It's just a technical way of saying that our hero's signal gets weaker, or twisted, or just plain corrupted along the way. And if that impairment gets too bad, the message is lost, gone forever. So what's causing all this trouble? Well, our signal basically faces three main villains on its quest, and each one attacks in a totally different way. So let's meet these bad guys, one by one. Villain number one is attenuation. This one's pretty straightforward. It's just the loss of energy over distance. Think of it like a marathon runner who starts strong but just gets more and more tired the further they go. Our signal loses strength the longer its journey is. It's just a fact of physics. So what's happening is that energy is literally leaking out into the cable or the air. And the effect? The signal gets so faint it's like trying to hear a whisper across a massive stadium. The receiver just can't make it out correctly. But our hero has an ally in this fight: the amplifier. Amplifiers act like little energy drink stations in the marathon, giving the signal a boost so it can keep going. Now, our second villain is distortion. And this one's a lot sneakier. It doesn't just weaken the signal, it actually changes its shape. That perfect, crisp message our hero started with gets all twisted and warped, kind of like that message at the end of a game of telephone. The cause here is actually pretty wild. A signal isn't just one thing. It's made up of lots of different frequencies all traveling together. But sometimes, in certain cables, the high frequencies travel at a different speed from the low ones. This completely messes up the timing, and the signal's shape just deforms. The end result is a messy, unclear message where the bits of data can literally start to blur into each other. And that brings us to our third and final villain, probably the most chaotic of them all: noise. Noise is basically any random, unwanted energy that gets mixed in with our signal. It's the ultimate distraction. Just imagine our hero trying to deliver a very specific quiet message while standing in the middle of a huge, shouting crowd. That crowd? That's noise. And the thing about noise is it comes from everywhere. You've got thermal noise, which is just from the heat of electronics doing their thing. There's induced noise from other devices, crosstalk, which is when signals from nearby wires literally bleed into each other. And you even have impulse noise, these big, sudden spikes from something like a lightning strike. Our poor hero is just constantly being bombarded from all sides. Okay, so we've met the villains, but let's just imagine for a second a perfect world. A world with no noise at all. How fast could our signal go then? This question brings us to the very first fundamental speed limit of data. But first, before we can talk about a speed limit, we gotta define what speed even means. In this context, we call it the data rate. It's simply the number of bits we can successfully send every second. This is the prize our hero is fighting to maximize. So in our perfect, imaginary, noise-free world, the ultimate speed limit is set by something called the Nyquist bit rate. Think of it as the absolute, undisputed top speed possible on a perfectly silent channel. Now, the Nyquist formula looks a little scary, but it's really built on two simple ideas. First, you have B for bandwidth. The easiest way to think about bandwidth is like the number of lanes on a highway. More lanes, more cars or data can get through. Then you have L, which is the number of signal levels. This is like asking how many different unique messages each individual car on that highway can carry. The more levels, the more information you can pack into each signal. Okay, so that perfect noiseless world was nice while it lasted, huh? But we all know our hero doesn't live there. That villain, noise, is always around. So we need a different rule, a different speed limit for the world we actually live in. And this brings us to the second great law of data speed, the Shannon capacity. Honestly, this is the one that really matters. It tells us the absolute, practical maximum capacity of a channel, taking that loud, shouting crowd of noise into account. So if you look at the formula, you'll see our old friend bandwidth, B, the width of our highway. But the real game changer here is that S over N part. That's the signal-to-noise ratio. And it perfectly captures the central conflict of our hero's story. It's a measurement of how strong the signal is, that's S, compared to how loud the background noise is, that's N. The stronger your signal, or the quieter the noise, the faster you can go. Simple as that. So let's put them side by side. You've got Nyquist, which is the theoretical dream. It's based on a perfect silent channel. Then you have Shannon, which is the practical reality. It accepts that noise is always going to be there and gives us the true, unbreakable speed limit for any real-world channel. All right, so now we have two different speed limits, one for a perfect world and one for the real world. So which one is it? What is the actual speed limit that our data has to obey? Well, the way you find the true max speed is actually pretty simple. You calculate both of them. You figure out the ideal Nyquist rate, and you figure out the practical Shannon capacity. And the true achievable speed limit? It's whichever one of those two numbers is smaller. A data channel is only as fast as its biggest bottleneck, its weakest link. And that really is the main takeaway here. The speed of your internet, the clarity of your phone calls, all of it comes down to this constant battle. It's a fight between the raw potential of the channel itself, which is defined by its bandwidth, and the harsh reality of all those impairments, attenuation, distortion, and especially noise. So the next time you're streaming a movie or you send a text, just take a second to remember that every single bit of that data is like a tiny hero on this epic journey, fighting against the fundamental laws of physics every single step of the way. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it, as our demand for speed just keeps growing and growing, what's the next big breakthrough going to be that helps our hero push these limits even further?